In other stories, South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeal ruled on Friday that President Jacob Zuma can face prosecution over almost 800 charges of corruption relating to a 1990s arms deal. The opposition Democratic Alliance Party had sought in 12 court appearances since 2009 to reactivate the charges over controversial post-apartheid military contracts that have dogged Zuma for much of his time in government. Well, let's now go live now to South Africa as we talk to an expert there. Of course, thank you very much indeed for joining us this time. Well, Zuma has been described as a cat with 9 lives, having survived several impeachment attempts in Parliament. Do you think he will survive this one?
Well, President Jacob Zuma is a political survivor, and I think what many people have observed here is that he's also a master chess player. And what he's done prior to this particular judgment was ask for leave to make new representations on these cases should the 783 charges be resuscitated. They have now been resuscitated, and we've heard from the National Prosecuting Authority and its head, Sean Abrams, that they will await Mr. Zuma's legal team making representations on the validity of these charges and whatever new information he wants to add into it. We've had the KPMG scandal in South Africa about 6 to 8 weeks ago, in which various malfeasance was alleged between KPMG auditors and government departments. One of those investigators and auditors who is implicated in the down spiraling of KPMG's work in South Africa with the government is also implicated in the investigation that led to the 783 charges. So Jacob Zuma's political life is far from over. This case, people assume, should it come to fruition, should it come to court, will take about 4 years. It involves hundreds of witnesses. And the man who did actually go to prison for fraud, who is implicated in this and was let out on a medical leave, Shabir Sheikh, has indicated that he is willing to be state's witness in this issue.
All right. It has taken 12 court appearances before this decision was reached. In your opinion, what do you think that the latest judges saw differently before they ruled that the decisions not to allow Jacob Zuma to face prosecution was irrational?
Well, it all involves these tapes, the so-called spy tapes, in which there were recordings made of various officials of state saying that they were plotting and that there were sorts of allegations that they were plotting against Mr. Zuma using state mechanisms on behalf of former President Thabo Mbeki. What this judgment does, and the Thabo Mbeki Foundation did reveal this on Friday, was it vindicates Thabo Mbeki because he has always maintained that he was never behind those issues. And the court also asked very critical questions about how Mr. Zuma's legal team and the various people who had access to these tapes actually got hold of them, because it is the duty under South African law of any spy agency or any policing agency, once it has information, to only surrender that to other policing agencies and not to private individuals. Now, Mr. Zuma has recently visited Nigeria to have a statue erected of him or unveiled of him in Imo State, and that's caused controversy in Nigeria. But that controversy has now come back to South Africa because people are asking questions about what it is that the statue is really symbolic of. Are there any deals attached to his visit to Nigeria? Who was in the delegation that had gone to Nigeria with him? And so Mr. Zuma's political life remains embroiled beyond this Supreme Court of Appeal's finding, because many observers believe that he will survive this, that what his legal team will represent is that because the auditor who investigated the issues that led to the 783 charges is himself compromised, these 783 charges may just go away because the basis upon which they were generated was fraudulent, and so the National Prosecuting Authority would have to start a whole new investigation. All
right. This, no doubt, puts National Director for Public Prosecution Authority, Mr. Sean Williams, in the spotlight, knowing full well that he was appointed by Zuma in 2015, does it not?
Yes, so many people have given this as the acid test or the litmus test for Sean Abrahams, who is the Director of National Public Prosecutions, because many have felt that he actually, over the last 14 months specifically, has acted repeatedly to protect the president from prosecution and has not pursued what people see on paper as his duty to do so. Because he is appointed by the president, and that is the lawful process, people have seen him as being too aligned with the president. There have been questions about his handling of the Fees Must Fall protests in South Africa, the ways in which he did or didn't pursue charges that involved the president, investigations into state capture that he wasn't pursuing. And this will be a test for him. If he reinstates these charges, the question is whether the prosecutor that is appointed then follows the process through to its logical end.
All right, Angelo Fick, researcher, well, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.